You ready? Everybody is ready. Okay, terima kasih. Thank you for coming to this BC. This BC is about the claim that Pulau Batu Puteh or Petrobranca we should appeal to the ICJ for definition, explanation, etc. Basically, we are not accepting the decision made by ICJ. We want to ask question. But when we decided to go to ICJ, both Singapore and Malaysia, and indeed Indonesia also, undertook to accept whatever decision is made by ICJ. There is no appeal. The ICJ is, after ICJ, you cannot appeal to a higher court as we do in Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have 3 tiers: High Court, Appeal Court, Federal Court. But with the ICJ, it is an international court, and we have to accept that whatever decision that is made by the High Court will be accepted by us. That is our undertaking. Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia undertook to accept all the decisions made by the ICJ. So when we got the result on Petrobranca or Pulau Batu Puteh, we are bound to accept what decision is made by the ICJ. Now, if we don't accept, if we query the finding, then we are not sticking to the promise that we made. We are not honoring our promise that we would accept whatever decision is made by ICJ. Now, this is very important because when a country undertakes to do certain thing, and when we are implementing, we change our position and regard the understanding or the agreement as not fully binding on us, then that country will not be trusted by other countries. Now, Malaysia has to make treaties, agreements with many countries in the world, some on trade, some on political asylum, etc. And it is important that people who undertake some understanding with Malaysia, that they know Malaysia will not renege on our promise. That is very important because if we are not trusted, then of course it will be very difficult for us to enter into any agreement. That is number one. Number two, what is the decision of ICJ? Now, ICJ decided that the rock Petrobranca goes to Singapore, but Middle Rock and Middle Rock will belong to us. So the decision is not entirely for Singapore. It's also for us. And between the two, the rock and the South Rock, the South Rock presents a possibility of creating an island, a substantial island. As you know, we built on one rock in the middle of the South China Sea. We built an island which includes a track for runway for planes, a hotel, and it became a divers center. So when you get a rock like that, you can actually develop and gain something from it. And South Rock is not just simple outcropping, but it's quite a lengthy island rock, and already we have built a tower there and also a jetty, a very long jetty. And yeah, you can see this. That was the rock. You can see that it is bigger than Pedro Branca. Pedro Branca is more confined, but this one is very long, and from there we can build the jetty, and eventually we can build an island. We have experience of that. In Layang, we built a runway for airplanes, and we built a hotel there, as well as we garrisoned that Pulau with our, yeah. You can see that was the original Pulau Layang, and you see the rock there, just one rock coming up like that. And now you see what has happened. You see a runway, and you see the hotel there, and also the terminus for the planes. So we can develop South Rock and make it valuable to us. A middle rock, make it valuable to us, and probably allow tourists to come there. So the award to us is in many ways much more valuable than Pedra Blanca. Pedra Blanca is just a lighthouse, and all this while it has been administered by Singapore, because this started during the British time. And at one time, of course, the British asked Johor whether they own Pedra Blanca, and Johor replied that they don't have any interest in that. And that is one of the strongest points for giving Pedra Blanca to Singapore, because Johor government actually said that they don't claim Pedra Blanca. But there is nothing with regard to Middle Rock and also South Sledge. So we have an opportunity to develop. So when we take into that consideration, and the decision made by ISCJ, which we must adhere to, honorably adhere to, because that was our promise, then the award is not completely to Singapore, it's also to Malaysia. Of course, with the Indonesia, we have Pulau Sipadan and Legitan. And Pulau Sipadan and Legitan are two of the 10 most beautiful islands in the world. It was claimed by Malaysia, it was claimed also by Indonesia, but it was awarded to Malaysia, and Indonesia did not protest. Although they lost a very beautiful island, they did not protest. So it is strong for us to protest. If we don't understand the language, we can ask ICJ what they mean. But here, the move is to sort of challenge ICJ's decision and the basis for that decision. We have given an undertaking, and we can't do that. So that is a problem. As far as a decision made not to continue with the claim that was started not during my time, we find that we should not claim any more than what is given by this ICJ. And the decision to drop the request to review the ICJ's decision was on the advice of experts. There were several experts who give their opinion. The most important expert is is
Malcolm Shaw.
Professor Shaw, QC. And there is also Dr. Brandon Plant, but he is not the principal. The principal is Professor Shaw, QC. And this man is an expert in international law. Yeah. And their view is that on the other hand, this is Shaw's view, is that says something potentially adverse to Malaysia's interests. If we followed with the questioning the ICJ might very well reverse their decision, and we will lose even middle road. So that is why we took time to consider. And as usual, whenever the Prime Minister, in that case, I was the Prime Minister, when I studied it, I felt that we should drop the claim. And this was conveyed to the Cabinet. A Cabinet, sometimes they debate, sometimes they don't. But the members of the Cabinet are even today in the government. There is Timbalan Perdana Menteri Dr. Wan Aziza, Menteri Dalam Negeri Muhyiddin Yassin, Menteri Keuangan Tuan Lim Guan Eng, Menteri Pertahanan Tuan Haji Muhammad bin Sabu, Menteri Pendidikan Dr. Mazli bin Malik, Menteri Pembangunan Luar Bandar Puan Rina binti Muhammad Arun, Menteri Hal Ehwal Ekonomi Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin, Menteri Perunding dan Kerajaan Tempatan Zuraida, Menteri Pengangkutan Anthony Loh, Menteri Komunikasi dan Multimedia Govind Singh Deo, Menteri Tenaga Manusia Tuan M. Kulasegaran, anak lelaki B. Murugesan, Menteri Pertanian dan Industri Asas Tani Salahuddin bin Haji Ayub, Menteri Kesihatan Dr. Haji Zulkifli Ahmad. All these people were in the cabinet meeting. Now, unless if they have anything to complain or object to the decision that should be taken, they could have spoken against it. But none of them said anything. So we have to assume that all these ministers agreed. And they are still in the government. These ministers are still in the government. They should actually be called as witness to verify whether they said anything or not. As far as we know, they didn't.
Some of them call it but we do not know the processing.
Yeah, some of them should be called as witnesses. And at the hearing, the strange thing is that the hearing is secret. And I wasn't called I was called only as a witness. But apparently, the whole objective of the RCI was to point out that I made a wrong choice without consulting the cabinet. That is not true. I mean, we consulted the cabinet, we consulted the experts, and then make a decision. You have to make a decision. You can't just leave it open like that. But they are trying to say that although I informed the cabinet, it is not valid. I don't know what they mean by being not valid, because they were there. These were people who were ministers, and ministers normally talk. I have had instances, I've been Prime Minister twice. I had instances where my proposal was rejected by cabinet. Members of the cabinet rejected it. So these people were in a position to reject my proposal, but they did not, and therefore the decision is by the cabinet, not just by me alone. Although they seem to keep on repeating that I made the decision all by myself. And that is not true at all. And you know, this publication, a lot of these things are blanked out.
47 pages.
47 pages. See, so even this document, lots of things are hidden. I mean, it should be full document. It is something that is of interest to the public, but they issued this with this cancellation. So this paper is presented seeming to pinpoint that I was the one who was responsible. It was not me alone. It was the cabinet. But of course, they cannot very well charge the whole cabinet. So they want to charge me under criminal law. I mean, what do I gain from that? I get nothing. It is in the interest of the country that I made that decision. And I know that middle road is valuable to us and we can develop it. At the same time, we have the expert witness and all that. But decisions by cabinet often take that form. People know that I carry a small book where I write things, and it's not presented as a paper. What I write there, I tell the cabinet, and they make a decision. It's not always that we prepare a paper for the cabinet. So those are the points I like to make here. But to charge me as a criminal under criminal law, I have never worked for Singapore. Everybody knows that I have been very difficult with Singapore. Singapore is difficult to deal with because they keep on postponing decisions or demanding that all the problems we have with Singapore must be solved at one go. And that was not possible. So with Singapore, we should continue talking with them to get these things resolved. But as far as Pedro Branca is concerned, we have already decided to go to ICJ, and the decision of ICJ must be accepted by us. So, yeah, we have prepared the points that I mentioned just now, so the MPs can read what actually happened. They are going to debate this day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, they will, everybody, including the press will get this paper because it gives in detail what actually happened. Most of it is what I mentioned here. So if you have any questions, you're welcome.
So the Prime Minister has called it that you have committed treachery by giving away Pedro Branca according to the decision. What do you say to the word treacherous being used against you?
I think don't say it's rubbish. It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
It's not. How can you describe it as treachery when I do it without any personal gain and gain for the country this middle road? We made a good decision.
Based on the legal experts, the QCs and the foreign legal experts, Tun did not make the decision himself.
Yeah, I work on the basis of the information that I get from the AG staff, also the foreign experts. Yeah. The strange thing is that the AG staff does not know what the AG was doing when Apandi was there. You know, Apandi was not regarded as a good MP because he investigated the case of Najib in 6 months, not thoroughly, and then he declared that Najib had done nothing wrong. And we know that later on, when the case was presented in court, Najib was proven wrong in 3 courts: High Court, the Appeal Court, and the Federal Court. 9 judges decided, and yet Apandi says Najib has done no wrong. That is a kind of not following procedures properly. He should have done a very thorough examination, but Apandi didn't. So you cannot trust Apandi because he seems to support the decision, but he was made chairman of the task force, which recommended the setting up of the RCI.
If you're
It's pointed out that the decision actually is made by the cabinet. The whole process was gone through, and if I am treasurer, then the whole cabinet, including my deputy prime minister, was also treasurer. Yes.
Do you see this as politically motivated?
politically motivated.
I think very much so, very much so. The whole idea is how to destroy me and see and calling me treacherous and all that. You know my stand against Singapore. I have been very, very strong on the relationship between Malaysia and Singapore. We don't give in to Singapore.
Jika siasatan jenayah ke atas tun ini diteruskan, tun bersedia untuk memberi kerjasama. Yang kedua, melihat kepada siasatan jenayah ke atas tun ini, apa hubungan, efek hubungan Singapura dengan Malaysia kerana ini keputusan ICJ.
Kalau ada siasatan pun bersedia.
Ya, kalau ada siasatan, saya sedialah. Nak tanya saya, tak nak periksa saya, nak buat criminal investigation, they are welcome to do that because I have been very careful about my behavior throughout the 22 years I was Prime Minister. Even the accusation that I stole money from the government, until now, Anwar has not been able to prove even 1 cent being stolen by me.
And Tun, I think we welcome if there is any criminal investigation because it will give us the opportunity to vindicate. Tun can vindicate himself because we can call all these people as witnesses. And one thing is very clear: any criminal or civil cases cannot rely on the evidence that was adduced during the RCI under the Act. They have to do it all over again. And then we have the opportunity to call or subpoena witnesses, including the cabinet members and all those, even Apandi Ali. And then we can then ascertain the truth of the whole matter. You see, what we are upset is that, look, you have this report. The idea is to present the truth to the people. But then you have 47 pages redacted, blacked out. Is that how you present the truth to the public? Then no reason is given. The RCI was conducted in secrecy. Tun, under Section 18 of the Act, was entitled to be present together with his lawyers throughout the proceeding. Tun was entitled to know who were called to give evidence, who testified. And if you look at the previous RCI, the VK Lingam tape, the Forex RCI, Wang Klian, Anwar punya Black Eye punya RCI, it was all open to the public. The parties were allowed to be present throughout the proceeding. Lawyers were present. They were allowed to cross-examine all the witnesses who testified. But why is it in this case, it was shrouded in secrecy behind closed doors, yet you have this report being produced publicly and redacted? What is the purpose of all this? What's the reason? This is something we do not understand. So from the outset, whatever the commission wanted to call itself, from the outset, we felt that this is not a fact-finding inquiry, but instead it is a fault-finding inquiry. And true enough, it is a fault-finding inquiry trying to tarnish TUN's reputation and image. And we believe even the recommendation by the RCI for criminal investigation is intended to intimidate, harass, and embarrass TUN. And we believe strongly that it's going to be very, very difficult for them to proceed with the criminal investigation. So from day one, we had no faith in the RCI. The RCI breached all known legal principles of natural justice. They went against the rule, against bias and all that. People who are conflicted sat in the RCI. People who were involved in the investigation, the Pasukan Special Task Force, which made a finding that TUN was responsible. The former Prime Minister Ismail Sabri said about this in the newspapers. Azlina Osman mentioned this in Parliament. We all were aware from the beginning that the RCI was aimed against TUN. And under Section 18 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, TUN is entitled to be present throughout the entire proceeding together with his lawyers. Even that right, which is a statutory right in the Act, was denied to TUN. So we have the doubts about the integrity of the RCI from the very beginning. And true enough, when the report came out, this is what you see. If you want to get to the truth, then why do you have to black out these pages? What is there to hide? Everything was hidden from the public from day one and until today. So what we are saying is, as far as we are concerned, this report is not worth the paper it's printed on, and we reject. And see, one of the recommendations made by the RCI is that Malaysia boleh memfailkan semula permohonan tafsiran baharu pada bila-bila masa yang sesuai. Walau bagaimanapun, Suruhanjaya tidak mencadangkan Malaysia memfailkan semula permohonan tafsiran. Why? No reason given. They say we can refile, but we are not going to refile, yet no reason given. And then, second recommendation, tindakan sivil di bawah tort misfeasance yang dicadangkan oleh PPK, that is the Pasukan Petugas Khas, where Datuk Baljit Singh, who was a member, and where this PPK came to the conclusion TUN was responsible, yet he sat in the RCI. How could he sit and arrive at a conclusion in the PPK and yet then sit in the RCI and coming to the same conclusion? So these are the issues we raised before the commission, but they just brushed aside all our objections. And now they say, look, tindakan sivil di bawah tort misfeasance yang dicadangkan oleh PPK tidak perlu diambil terhadap Tun Dr. Mahathir kerana tindakan tersebut telah terhalang oleh had masa. That's wrong, because this finding by the RCI is only recent, and the limitation is 6 years. So it should run from the date when the finding is made. So all these are excuses given by the RCI. And the last recommendation is for siasatan jenayah boleh dimulakan terhadap Dr. Mahathir atas kesalahan di bawah Section 415B Kanun Keseksaan dan boleh dihukum di bawah Section 417 Kanun yang sama dan juga di bawah Section 418 Kanun yang sama. This is a criminal penal code. The offense of cheating. Are they saying that Tun cheated the cabinet? Tun lied to the cabinet? The cabinet was briefed. In fact, if you look at the cabinet minutes, the ministers were briefed. They were aware what happened, and we have lawyers there. These are cabinet ministers made of educated people. They knew what was happening. They never objected. They never raised any issue with Tun about the presentation of the briefing by Tun, and today they are saying, look, they are not happy. Tun probably they are saying Tun lied to them, Tun cheated them, Tun did not present the truth. But why now? To me and to us, they are trying to save their skin. They are doing this because they want to protect themselves. But this opportunity to cross-examine them will be available to us should the criminal prosecution is proceeded with. And these people will be called, we can cross-examine them. So this is how we view the report of the RCI.
I would like to add that in my cabinet at that time, the Deputy Prime Minister was Wan Azizah. She was sitting next to me, but she didn't say anything, nor was she called by RCI to give evidence. So it seems that they pick and choose the people they want to question so that they can get the results that they want. Actually, if I have done wrong, I mean, they have a chance to make a report, but they didn't make any report. It's RCI that makes the report. So I didn't commit a crime against RCI. If they say I lied to the cabinet has a right to make a report that I lied to the cabinet. Oh, yeah. Actually, a lot of money was spent by the AGS chambers to investigate. They went to stay in UK for 11 months. For 11 months, they stayed in UK. Nothing was reported that is incriminating. So what did they do? 11 months in the UK?
If I may add, Apandi Ali was then the Attorney General, appointed these 5 legal experts from overseas, these foreign legal experts, and 2 of them were Queen's Counsel. And Apandi also appointed 2 local lawyers, and we are given to understand that they were paid millions of ringgit to assist. But they never prepared any opinion to contradict or challenge the opinion of the foreign legal experts. The foreign legal experts came to the conclusion that there was no winnable case, no prospect of success. Now, if the local experts felt that the opinion given by the foreign legal experts were wrong, why did they not provide a contrary opinion? They never did. So what were they doing? And even the Aegis chambers did not provide any contrary opinion to challenge the opinion of the legal experts, the 5 foreign legal experts. So Tun relied on the opinions of the 5 foreign legal experts when the decision was made not to proceed. So it is not correct for the RCI or anyone to give the impression that Tun made the decision not to proceed on his own. And furthermore, we must understand and we must highlight that the ICJ in 2008, when they decided, they granted sovereignty over Pulau Batu Puteh to Singapore, it was by a strong majority of 12 to 4 judges. 12 judges in favor and 4 against. It is not a small, a simple majority, it's a strong majority, 12 to 4. And as lawyers, we know that when you want to apply to review a decision of any court, it's always very difficult. And the foreign legal experts were fully aware of that, and they advised the government. So as far as we are concerned, as far as Tun is concerned, everything was done in accordance with professional standards, based on the legal opinion of the foreign legal experts. Now, this is where, and then the decision of the ICJ, what turned the tide against Malaysia was the letter dated September 1953, written by the Assistant State Secretary of Johor to the British Colonial Advisor Secretary to say, look, Johor does not claim Pulau Batu Puteh. That was the critical evidence which the ICJ relied upon. And if you have already unequivocally or categorically stated that you don't claim Pulau Batu Puteh, and then you change your mind, I think that is something that I think will not be upheld in any court of law. So all these factors are not highlighted because of certain motivation or certain interest. But these are, if you read the RCI report, I think it's from paragraph 2.35 to paragraph 2.42, you will find the reasons given by the ICJ. So these are the reasons. It was the indifference and the neglect of the Johor state government then, which caused the loss of Pulau Batu Puteh.
Under Article 6 in the agreement with ICJ, it says there, judgment of the court. The parties agree to accept the judgment of the court given pursuant to this special agreement as final and binding on them. Yeah. This is done in triplicate in Putrajaya. For the government of Malaysia, Syed Hamid Alba, Minister of Foreign Affairs. For the government of the Republic of Singapore, as Jayakumar, Minister of Foreign Affairs. So we undertook, we signed the agreement, but now we are going to renege against the agreement and question the ICJ.
So, do you consider this as information? Will you sue? Adakah itu merasakan ini satu fitnah dan akan menyaman mana pihak kerajaan? Dan apa yang boleh Tun katakan kepada ahli Parlimen Pakatan Harapan yang berada dalam kabinet Tun ketika itu, tetapi kini they keeping silent about this?
Kita kena pegang kepada undang-undang dan apa yang sebenarnya berlaku. Tetapi kita dapati laporan ini yang dibuat oleh RCI ini cari jalan nak tumpu kepada saya. Kononnya saya buat keputusan ini seorang diri, which is not true. Jadi the report itself is biased to find fault with me, not with the whole cabinet, not with the deputy prime minister, who all had a chance to rebut or change my decision. That is how the cabinet functions.
You have said that you are being targeted and the RCI was unnecessary. Do you see hidden hands behind this government in creating this RCI to target at you?
Well, there must be somebody who has a special interest in my case, because as you know, I'm now in the opposition, and there are attempts to neutralize me in terms of politics. So now I am supposed to be a criminal, banduan, bukan banduan terhormat. Orang itu jadi banduan terhormat, dah masuk jail 5 tahun. Saya pun nak dijadikan banduan. Kita tahu kes seperti Daim umpamanya, sampai orang itu mati, dia sakit. Gunanya bila dia tak pergi ke court pasal dia sakit, they tried to accuse him of being mad, to be examined in the lunatic asylum. So this thing is going on in this country. And I think it is very unhealthy where the law is used to oppress people. But I know, of course, you find difficulty writing all this that I've said because we are a free country, free not to publish.
I think Tun is being very respectful. Actually, I would say it's a political revenge. Politics of revenge, no? They have a grudge against you.
Yeah, people want 100. Yesterday, 100 MPs turned up in Parliament out of 252. So I think the MPs should know the facts of the case. Of course, it's very difficult for many of them to recite all the reasons why the decision was made. But I think the MPs represent the people, and the people are not happy with all kinds of charges made by wrong people. Apparently, the RCI was set up in order to pinpoint me as a culprit. When others are involved, or that was not to be taken into consideration. The whole cabinet was there when I brought up this matter. They could very well say no if they can't speak a long speech on that. They can just say no, we don't accept. And in the past, I know when I was Prime Minister for the first time, one minister rejected my proposal, and I had to drop the proposal just because one minister objected.
Would you consider this as defamation, and would you file suit against?
Do you want to take any legal action? Yeah, we will see what happens. And see, we will see whether more laws are being misused, abused, just to pinpoint the mistake, the decision on me, and that I was treacherous. I have never been treacherous to my own country, you know very well. I added more land to the country when we built layang-layang. That is additional. And layang-layang is very substantial piece of land with the airport there. That is adding to Malaysia's territory. But that, of course, is dismissed. Instead of that, this rock, I lost the rock. But what we gain is the middle rock. Middle rock is much more able to be developed into a tourist or to provide some shelter for fishermen.
Tun, if I may add, the RCI never made any finding that there was any commission of treachery by Tun. And I wonder if the person who alleged this so-called treachery understands the meaning of the word treachery, Tun. So you can see the angle they are coming from, all kinds of motivation, interpretation they are giving. And as we suspected, and I repeat again, we doubted the integrity of the RCI, and we went before the RCI to request or to apply for certain decisions or certain rules to be pronounced. One of the decision or one of the requests we made was for the recusal of certain people whom we felt were conflicted. That was denied. And then even our request for Tun to be present with the RCI, which Tun is entitled to with his lawyers under Section 18, it is in the Act itself that was denied. And Tun was only allowed to appear with his lawyers on the very day Tun was called to testify. We did not know who else were called. We were not given any opportunity to cross-examine. We don't know what they said. In fact, when you look at the RCI report, there were many witness statements with testimony given by other witnesses, but they were not called. So anyway, their testimony or their statements were used by the RCI, and we had no opportunity at all to cross-examine, to challenge the veracity or the correctness or the truth of their statements. And what puzzles us also, which is very important, is why was it held behind closed doors? So all these actions or the conduct, or the procedures, led us to the conclusion that from the outset, it was intended to intimidate, harass, and embarrass Tun. And true enough, this is what has happened. And you ask yourselves, why 47 pages out of 200 plus blacked out? Why? What are they trying to hide? It isn't us. It's just us that is not trying to hide anything. It is I would say the RCI and those behind this RCI, they are trying to hide something, yet using half-truth to target Tun. I call it half-truth. So all in all, I think as far as we are concerned as lawyers, I think Rafiq will agree with me. We reject in totality the findings of the RCI. We reject completely.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
We have prepared the full transcript. I think we can pass to friends of the media. Thank you so much.
Okay. It was this wrong. And I almost completely underwater. We cleaned it and built runway for airplanes. Now lands here, and there is a hotel, there is a garrison there, and we have a lot of people diving there. That is adding to the territory of Malaysia. For this, no credit is given, nor do I claim any credit. But the fact is that we added to the territory of Malaysia. In the rock. The rock is a very long piece of rock there, and it lends itself to building jetty on the tower. So this can actually be reclaimed into an island, and we can have tourists to go there. In fact, it's much more valuable than Perkembangan. Yeah. So you can do the runway if you want to. Okay. Thank you.